the mid-'80s, the state of Ohio had announced that they were going to build a new prison to replace this one. And the obvious thing is, well, what's going to happen to the old prison? And in our dealings with the state and the warden here at that time, and even the head of DRC for the state of Ohio, the plans were to demolish the building. When the plans for demolition were announced, a fella I knew in town got a hold of me and he said, Dan, are we going to just let them tear that building down? We managed to get to the point where the state allowed us a preservation on the building, and we formally organized it as the Mansfield Reformatory Preservation Society.
It wasn't just about preserving for your own personal purposes. There was something bigger that was happening, and that's where the focus needed to be. That's where we went as an organization inside my group that said, okay, we know where this thing can go. So how does it get there? This place was redeemed from being a place of pain and a place where I think some in the community and others looked at it as, this is outdated, this is outmoded, this is horrendous, and it just needs to go away. Not anymore. This place has blown past that, superseded anything anybody could have ever imagined. Has it redeemed itself? Oh yeah, there's a lot of redemption here, and only getting better and only getting stronger.
The preservation aspect of the whole building actually started before the whole Shawshank interplay of the movie, the Shawshank Redemption, how much it's contributed and everything. But we actually started talking about preservation of the building 3 years before the Shawshank even came along. That was because the importance of it as Mansfield's history. It was a very, very important thing to say.
In the early days, what we do know is that it was hard. It was a challenge. They didn't have a budget. They were operating solely with volunteers, which meant scheduling tours was really hard. It's really fantastic that we were able to move from a world where it was, where's the staff, where's the money, to a world where we actually now get to focus on the restoration we need to do, the repairs we need to do, and making sure we have everything that our staff needs to.
I was on the ground when the scouting crew came from Castle Rock. So I got to meet the director, exec producer, set designer, and it was a nasty, cold, bitter March day on Monday. None of us knew what it was going to become. We just knew they were interested. The director climbed all over this place like it was playground equipment. He couldn't get enough. And then they left. And I got a call the next day from the exec producer, said, okay, the prison we just looked at in Tennessee isn't going to work. If you can find me a warehouse to build a prison set, we'll bring you the movie. Next day he's in town. We have the warehouse guys in, and they have a deal in principle in 2 hours, and that's it. And off it went. The director was fascinated, and he was all over this. I remember him saying, this is the biggest character in the movie, so it has to be perfect. And that filming was one of the catalysts to not knock down the building.
The wonderful part is, even though we didn't have any control or say of what's going on in the building, again, it built so much enthusiasm in the community. After they left, well, we're back to square one, water still pouring into the building. Everybody's got these wonderful memories of, being in the movie and all. In 1994, our group decided to go public with our plans. There was one fella in town, he loved historic preservation. He talked about it. He loved history, member of all the history committees. He came up and he handed me $25 on that one. Yeah, okay. Of 60 million, we only got 59,909,000. Yeah, it goes on like that. But kind of the start of all the fundraising part of it.
The Preservation Society, that's the forward-looking group of people who said, we'd like to take this on. They told that to the Department of Corrections. They were the ones that stepped in, formed a nonprofit to become that organization that not just saw the future of what this place could be, but to preserve it for the ages. It's part of Mansfield's history. They're the beginnings. They're the ones who charted the course to allow for everything that happens now.
The reformatory is one of the most unique spaces in the community. It means so many different things to people. There's a lot of ways that they may have interacted with it over the years, and certainly over the last 30 years in this kind of second life it has had. It's something that I think looms large in our community and that a lot of people have a lot of unique identity with.
We've really worked on growth, so we've tried to really bring a lot of people in, whether that's staff members or even contractors that really get the vision of preserving this building, restoring it, and helping it grow with all the events and the programming that we do here that gets to save the building. And I think that over probably the last decade that we've brought in a lot of people that understand that vision and help us grow, and I think that's really the impact of how we've kind of moved so fast.
The reformatory is so much more than a dingy old prison. I understand why people from the community are maybe kind of hesitant to support us, or maybe their only experience with us is incarceration and we're loud, and I get that weekend too. But we are so much more than that. With the fact that we're a historical landmark, you're not going to see architecture like this anywhere else in the world. It's just a great place to be, and as time goes on, as we move forward, we're really looking at ways we can become stewards within the community.
We are really just on the beginning side of seeing the full impact that OSR is going to have in Mansfield and Richland County. 30 years is a long time that they have been here and doing this work. There's so much more to come, and I believe that, as they continue this restoration, the impact, the people that it pulls from all over the world, quite frankly, that has a huge spillover effect to our whole community. It's bringing people here that are staying in our hotels, they're eating in our restaurants.
Legacy to me is kind of a blank slate. Going from those who came before you and moving forward with it, you get to continue to grow upon what they have left for you. It would be the greatest honor if I can spend the next 20 years of my career just moving the reformatory forward on the same path that those who came before me were able to bring to me.
To see what this has done really in 30 plus years of it closing and bringing in the economic impact, the tourism, has been really important to us, but we know that we're really just starting, that the sky's the limit for here. I think what's interesting about a place like this is we're not stuck in a corner where we can only do certain things. There's so many opportunities here for events, programming, fundraising to restore different areas. We get to have business events out here. And I think that that's what a lot of the legacy is going to be, is there's so many stories that can be told here, such a positive impact for the community and even the state as a whole.
You can't invent this. This either has to be here or it's not here. You can't build it. But there's somewhere around $200 million in impact from people coming to the reformatory, taking the trail, spending time, and obviously spending money while they're here. You've got something like incarceration that'll hire 15, 20 service businesses just to help make them run. That's direct into jobs. Tourism supports and keeps 5,000 plus people working, and this place is in the forefront of making that happen. Everybody comes for one thing, but one of the constants is they will always come here.
I really hope that the legacy it leaves is one of redemption, one of not counting yourself out at any point in time, of getting back up and trying again, and not discounting the impact that just a few people can have the future of a community. That's really, to me, one of the unique things about Mansfield, Ohio. There's a lot of people here who really care. And not only do they care, but they're willing to roll up their sleeves and help make it a better place.
If you want to start a conversation with anybody, any place, anytime, just say, have you ever seen the movie Shawshank Redemption? That's a good segue to get into talking to people. I don't care if I'm in Vegas or Key West or whatever. We start talking about this stuff and people are interested. It's really wonderful to have that segue. There's still a great future to it as well, too.
In 100 years, I hope that we can look back and see how much this place impacted the community for the good. To have this opportunity to have a second life and to impact the community in a totally different way, I think is a really unique thing that not every organization and not every building gets to have. OSR and everything that has happened here is a really good example of that. A few people who cared saved it, and now look at what has happened. And I think in 100 years from now, that legacy will be even stronger.